the second edition of Ciao Falmouth for academic year 2022 to 2023. It seems like forever since the end of term one when I was here the last time. But I'm happy to have the Eiffel Tower as a background. It makes it very authentic, which is exactly what we try to do in a language these days with students. And speaking of students, I'll start with them, move to teachers, and then I'll talk a little bit about what I get myself involved in. Students, as I said, we actually are in term three. I try to do one of these programs at the end of every term, but we've just begun term three. Students are currently signing up for courses for next year. So teachers are logging numbers. Of course, they officially go into PowerSchool, and that's how we create our course schedules of classes that teachers teach. Otherwise, seniors are preparing to test for STAMP, which is the Advanced Standardized Assessment for the Measurement of Proficiency. You know, we have our award ceremony in May where we bestow, I guess, award, whatever else you want to call it, the state seal of biliteracy to students, seniors, who attain an intermediate high level of proficiency, and the state seal with distinction to students who attain advanced low in STAMP testing. It's an excellent test, and it's very reliable, and we frequently use it sometimes to place students, although Avant has a specific placement test, but we have like a reserve of tests based on the grant that we received last year. This year we will not be able to test other levels of language, just seniors, because we are still working on the surplus that we have, but it's nowhere near the amount that would cover grades 7 through 12. So grade 12 definitely in all three languages, and students who are in grade 12 in other levels who would like to test, and a designated number of grade 8 students in Spanish and French at Lawrence. Otherwise, World Language Week is next week, so students are preparing for activities that their teachers are going to do with them, specifically in the classroom. And we are having Cape Cod's Salsera group come again. I believe it's the week after, to do dancing lessons with students, as we have had arepa making with Molly Drain's husband, who's a chef, on 2 separate occasions, and students were praised for their ability to use the target language, and not just the seniors, but students who are in levels that are eligible for honor societies. So that was good, and they could listen to him and follow his directions, and do their own cooking. So that was great. It was a great turnout. So as far as teachers go, teachers have gone through the first round of what we call the Curriculum Alignment Guide. It's a new template which is a little more extensive than the Understanding by Design backward planning model. Some of the same elements, essential questions and can-dos and forward thinking and assessments and activities. So there are newer elements, though, like cultural proficiency, social justice, social emotional learning, differentiation for equity. We have to keep a lot of things in mind. So they've done one, and they're working on their second for this year, and the Department of Ed has what they call curriculum alignment labs. I attended one last evening for the Latin teachers, with a presentation by a Latin teacher from Springfield in a lot of oral Latin. It was very well done. So some teachers opt for that. Most teachers are happy if students can read for comprehension well. So otherwise, teachers can take advantage of MAFLA's winter workshops, core practices, upcoming MOPI, and looking towards the Summer Proficiency Academy. I will save a lot of that for the end of term 3 for this program. But we are moving quickly through the year. I mean, it's almost time for testing, AP testing. Well, not almost, but, I hear teachers talking about the preparations and getting students ready and making sure they, have all the skills developed. Those are in May, so not too far in the, distant future. One thing that I'm very impressed with is that teachers have had a variety of guest speakers this year from not just France, Spain, but other parts of the Hispanic and the Francophone world, because students need to realize that, French and Spanish are not just spoken in France and Spain. They, obviously there's Canada and the Caribbean and, countries in Africa, Central and South America. So it's becoming a much more global world for them, which is good. And the next modules the teachers will be looking at have to do with culture and practices, products, and things that relate to somebody else's culture that they need to be aware of and familiar with. I have left myself last because this, I'm trying to disseminate news and information. And the reason that I have a lot of MAFLA news is because this year, I may have mentioned this in the fall, maybe not, but now I am the state organization, which is MAFLA, president for 2023. That's a daunting task because I need to plan meetings 5 times a year for language teachers from all over Massachusetts. We do a variety of activities. Obviously, we keep up with pedagogy and current practices. A lot of us are headed to New York City this weekend for NECTFL, which is the new Northeast Regional Conference on the Teaching of Foreign Languages. They still use the word foreign in those organizations. MAFLA has changed its name from capital M, small a, capital F, capital L, capital A to all capitals. Doesn't have a, it's not an acronym for anything anymore. We're going to have a tagline to explain what we do. But this is an interesting, conference because it's held at the Hilton in the Midtown, which is on 6th, which is Avenue of the Americas, and 53rd, I think. And there are sessions that MAFLA board members present, as well as from New England states, I think as far away as Ohio. I know Pennsylvania, maybe even West Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, New York, obviously, participate. We have leadership meetings that we have to attend. We have, I need to volunteer at registration. We have used to be a table in the exhibit hall. We have, an easel with some notifications that we create for advocacy and leadership. And then there's a ceremony to pick the toy, which is the Teacher of the Year from NECTFL. There are 5 regions in the country, and at ACTFL at the national conference, one teacher from a specific organization is chosen to be the National Teacher of the Year. So That's an exciting time. We have a favorite restaurant we go out to as a group, and there's a keynote, and various and sundry activities. So that starts tomorrow, and it'll go through Sunday morning. So I will be heading down by train this afternoon as soon as classes are over here. So as far as that goes, I have the rest of the year to plan meetings, and right now a lot of our time is spent pulling together or organizing and creating our fall conference, which takes place in October. So we do a lot of work as a group on making sure that is all organized well, and we'll amp up our efforts over the summer so that we get all the pieces together. But for now, I think that's all the news that I have to impart for this particular segment. So I will just say, until the next time, Ciao Falmouth.